Welcome back to the Dogs on the Hill podcast. I'm your host, Reeves Fisackerly. It is Thursday, April 13th, 2023, and today is going to be a short episode. Just mostly wanted to recap the first round, if you want to call it that, of the NBA play-in tournament that occurred Tuesday and Wednesday night, and also just throw in some other tidbits of information that's going around the league. So first, the Tampa Bay Rays have won their 12th straight game of the season to start the year. They are 12-0. That is the second best start in MLB history. The record is 13-0, and that is held by the Milwaukee Brewers, who did it in 1987, and the Atlanta Braves, who I believe did it in 1983. They won 9-7 last night, and they will get their opportunity to tie that record and make it 13 today, Thursday, at 1 p.m. at home. Currently, Vegas has the money line at -210 favoring the Rays. I like them in this matchup too. They are rolling. Pretty much the only thing, I guess, negative you could really say about the Braves, other than their strength of schedule, which we mentioned a little bit last time, is yesterday was the most runs they've allowed all year so far. They allowed 7, but I wouldn't really hold that against them. They're generating enough offense for me to not worry. So maybe they close out the series. Maybe they close out the series today with a sweep against the Red Sox, looking to go 13-0. And then after this Red Sox series, regardless of what happens today, they will travel to Toronto on Friday for a series with the Blue Jays. So the Rays, 12-0. Can they make it 13? We'll have to wait and see. In the NHL, the Pittsburgh Penguins have missed the playoffs. This is the first time that they've missed the playoffs since 2005, which was Sidney Crosby's rookie season. This is only the second time in his career that he has missed the playoffs. This puts an end to a 16-year streak of making the playoffs, and that is was the longest streak in the Big Four sports of making the playoffs. Not only did the Penguins miss the playoffs this year, but the Predators and the Capitals did too. And that's significant because those two teams were tied for the second longest streak of making the postseason in the NHL. So the top 3 teams with the longest streaks are not in it this year. The Penguins were eliminated when the Islanders beat the Canadiens 4-2 last night. And the Islanders were pretty much in control that entire game. The Islanders controlled their destiny to clinch that last wild card and also ended it for the Penguins. Honestly, it kind of stings because Sidney Crosby, Chris Letang, Evgeny Malkin, that core, I don't really know what their future's like. At least going into the season, it was believed that this would be their last season together, at least all 3 of them, just based off of age and contract situations. So there was a lot of hope that they would be able to make a run one last time, and that just didn't. It just obviously didn't happen. I'm not really sure. I thought they did a pretty good job retooling over the offseason, but I guess it wasn't enough. I don't really know what to say. I don't really know how to explain this Penguin situation, but other than it's unfortunate. And I think the landscape of the NHL is definitely changing now. We're seeing an aging Ovechkin, an aging Crosby. Neither of their teams are in the playoffs anymore. It's strange. The Eastern Conference definitely has changed. But fun thing, there are 7 of the 8 teams in the West who made the playoffs have hit 100 points this season, and 6 of the 8 in the East have hit 100 points. So a lot of people in the 100-point club. NHL playoffs start next week. Okay, enough delay. NBA play-in tournament. So, Tuesday night, we saw the Hawks defeat the Heat, 116-105. Then the Lakers beat the Timberwolves 108-102 in overtime. Last night, the Bulls beat the Raptors 109-105, and then the Pelicans lost to the Thunder 118-123. Over on the Dogs on the Hill Instagram at Dogs on the Hill Podcast. Make sure you follow to keep up with updates. I posted my game predictions, and I'm happy to say that I went 3-1. Would have loved to have gone 4-0, but the Pelicans just couldn't quite do it for me. So the Hawks and the Heat, the Hawks were just in control the whole time. Whole night. The Heat did not look good, and that's pretty much all there is to say. Trae Young dropped 25 points on the night, and the Hawks are going to take on the Celtics as the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference Final. The Timberwolves and the Lakers. The Timberwolves were playing phenomenally. They had managed to get a 15-point lead on the Lakers on the road without Rudy Gobert, and they just clearly looked like the better team. So what happened? I don't know. They blew up. They blew up. The Lakers managed to come back, and not only did they come back, for a minute, we thought they won. We thought that they were going to win in regulation. Clock is ticking down. Believe there's less than 10 seconds left. Schroeder gets the ball, nails a 3 from the left corner, ice in his veins. He and LeBron do the celebration. And then with 0.1 seconds left in the game, Anthony Davis fouls Mike Conley on a 3, just taps his hand. And then Mike Conley makes all 3 of his free throws. We are tied, and we go to overtime. Crazy ending to regulation, and then the Lakers were just in control for pretty much all of overtime to get that 108-102 win. Watching this game was just a real experience of kind of appreciation for LeBron James. He was able to just will his team out of a 15-point deficit. He registered 30 points on the night, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. There was just this sense that whenever LeBron was on the court, he was going to do something. And he did pretty much every time. The Lakers played really well together in that second half. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Dennis Schroeder, Austin Reeves. It didn't look like a 1-2-man show. It looked like the whole court, the whole offense, the whole defense was functioning effectively and in unison for the Lakers. It was altogether just a really good half of basketball. If the Lakers can play better than that in the first half, they can play entire games and do well. They will go to Memphis for the first round and play against the Grizzlies. The marketing teams are having fun saying LeBron James versus Ja Morant. But for the Lakers, I would say you really just want to go in, split the first 2 games as best you can, come to LA with the series tied 1-1, and then it should be in your hands from there. I still personally like the Grizzlies more in this matchup. I just think they're the better overall team. But never count LeBron James out. The Lakers look really good right now, and they dodged a huge bullet against the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves just imploded. The Bulls and the Raptors played last night, and the Raptors dominated the Bulls for the first half. Oh my gosh, it was not close at all. The Bulls could not make shots. I don't want to diminish or take credit away from Toronto's defense in the first half because they played really good defense. But the Bulls just could not make shots. This sounds super obvious, but you have to make shots to win a basketball game. The amount of balls that were just off a rim, air ball, spin around the rim and then fall off, it was ridiculous. Missed so many shots. And then to add insult to injury, Fred VanVleet in the last milliseconds of the half just throws the ball up from half court and drains a 3. Stadium erupts. It is clearly going to be a Raptors victory. And then the Bulls won. The Raptors were up by 19. 19. And the Bulls came back and won. The Bulls were the first team to hit 100 points of the 2 of them. Game was tied at 100. We kept going back and forth by the fourth quarter. But Zach LaVine, just give him dog of the day. You know what? Dog of the day is Zach LaVine. This guy registered 39 points last night. 6 rebounds, 3 assists. Zach LaVine is clearly, definitively the best player on the Chicago Bulls, if that was not clear already. He played lights out last night. The Bulls, I was sitting there watching that game, and I kept telling myself, "Oh, it's not over till it's over." I mean, we watched the Lakers come back last night, but man, this is looking grim. This is not looking good. I was ready to count them out. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say that, but I really was, because the Raptors just looked so good, and the Bulls, like I said, could not make shots. They could not make a basket. And then they turned on the defense and just started shutting the Raptors down. This was really a tale of two halves. The tables turned so drastically because as soon as the second half started, the Bulls were nailing threes and the Raptors could not make anything. The biggest storyline from last night is definitely free throws. In the first half, I think the Bulls were only 5 for 7 on free throws, which is like a solid percentage, but they only got 7. By the end of the game, they went 18 for 22. The Raptors, 18 for 36. They only went 50% on their free throws. And the Raptors missing 18 free throws, the last time a team missed that many was the Los Angeles Lakers. They missed 19, and that was in 1969. Scotiabank Arena went silent last night when the Bulls turned on the Jets. The Bulls just charged the Raptors in the second half. So if there's anything that has been reinforced to me in the last 2 days, especially in the sport of basketball, it is 1, it's not over till it's over, and 2, you gotta make your free throws. Both of those teams, the Lakers and the Bulls, were able to come back from massive deficits, played down to the last second and won. And then free throws, we saw Mike Conley make 3 really crucial ones at the end of his game, and we saw the Raptors miss literally half of theirs. And it ended up costing them big time in the end. At halftime, I was ready to give Fred VanVleet a bunch of kudos and the Raptors a bunch of kudos. And VanVleet still had a good game. He registered 26 points, 12 rebounds, and 8 assists. But man, the Bulls really turned it around. Zach LaVine, dog of the day. The Bulls are a dangerous team. And I'll go ahead and tell you right now, I'm picking them to beat the Heat tomorrow. We'll look more into previews later, but let's move on to Thunder Pelicans really quickly. Thunder Pelicans was a late game last night, and the Thunder, both of the 10 seeds won last night. The Thunder managed to beat the Pelicans. Pelicans got an early lead. I would say this was probably the closest of the games that we got because Hawks were just in control the whole time. Timberwolves Lakers made that comeback. Bulls Raptors, Bulls made a comeback. Thunder Pelicans was really just back and forth all game. Yes, there were some times where there were some double-digit leads, but they never really got big to 15 or 19. And both teams looked very active and a part of it pretty much the whole game. But Pelicans were not able to get it done. Thunder come in and win. In a rebuilding year, or at least what was supposed to be a rebuilding year, the Thunder have seriously exceeded expectations. I guess people just didn't tell the players that the plan was to just rebuild. But regardless, Zion Williamson did not play last night. And I wanted to at least just mention this because it's getting a lot of traction on the internet. Before the game started, he made a statement. He said physically he's ready to go. This is in regards to his hamstring injury that's had him out since January. Physically he's ready to go, but he said he doesn't want to play until he feels like Zion again. Mentally he wasn't there. He said that he didn't want to be hesitating and making poor decisions that would negatively impact his team. So regardless of what your opinion is on that, regardless of what you think, he just opted not to play. He did not play last night. And the Pelicans did look good. They definitely didn't look like a bad team, but they definitely missed him. Your best player has barely played for you in the last 3 years, and he was well enough to play for you yesterday, but he didn't. So I don't really know what that means for your franchise going forward. Personally, I like the idea of a trade much more than locking up because in any sports, you have to be dependable. And part of that is being able to play. And Zion has only played, in his 3 years in the league, or he started playing in the 2019 season, he has played just over 100 games. And he has missed over 200 of them. He's only played in about 35% of the Pelicans games. That's not dependable. And Zion, when he plays, he's clearly their best player, and he is a generational talent. He's really, really good, but he doesn't play. And so if you're the Pelicans, I would not want to lock up with Zion Williamson a $200 million plus contract when that time comes for him to just sit out for over 2/3 of the year. So, I mean, it's hard to say trade a really talented player, but Zion's not dependable. And maybe he doesn't want to play in New Orleans. I don't know. Because he was healthy last night. He just opted not to play because he said he didn't feel like himself. But if he played for a team like, I don't know, the Celtics or the Lakers or the Knicks, I don't know what Zion's favorite team is or where he wants to be or what culture he wants to be in. But if he played for a team like one of those three, would he have chosen to play last night? Is this a New Orleans thing? I don't know. But if I'm the Pelicans, trade him while he's young and while you can still get something out of him, because clearly something fishy's going on here. It's not all his fault because the team was very much in this game and very much could have won this game. But him not playing definitely affects their fate of missing the playoffs. Their season is over now. And when Zion played, the Pelicans were not just one of the best teams in the Western Conference, they were one of the best teams in the league. And as soon as he left, they fell completely out of the playoffs into the play-in tournament. So I'm going to leave it at that. The Thunder win, and they will face the Timberwolves. Let's go to the second round preview. Tomorrow we will see the Chicago Bulls take on the Miami Heat, and my official prediction is that the Bulls will win outright. The current point spread is Miami Heat by 5.5, but I have the Bulls coming in and winning and taking that upset. The money line favors the Heat as well, -210. The Bulls just played really well last night. I know their first half was really bad. Their first half was bad. But that second half was awesome. And I just think that they can build off of that and keep that going against the Heat. They do have to play another road game. This game is in Miami, and it is a fair point or criticism to say how realistic is that the Heat that the Heat lose 2 back-to-back home games. I don't know. But the Heat just looked really bad in that loss against Atlanta pretty much the whole way through. And I'm a lot more confident in this Chicago Bulls team than I am in this Miami Heat team. The winner of this game will face the Milwaukee Bucks in the playoffs. It's at 7 p.m. tomorrow night, Friday, April 14th on TNT. In the West for the 8th place game, like I said, Thunder and Timberwolves. In Minnesota, the current spread is Minnesota by 4.5, and the money line favors Minnesota -190. So it's a lot closer, but I will take that. I will say Minnesota wins and covers the spread. I like Minnesota more than the Thunder. They did implode. They did. But I just think that the Timberwolves are a better team than the Thunder are. I might be eating my words there because the Thunder looked good last night. The Thunder looked a lot better than Minnesota did. But I'm going to trust my numbers here, trust my spreadsheet. It likes the Timberwolves more than the Thunder does. I'm going to trust my math. My math also favors the Bulls more than the Heat, so that's just kind of two pieces working together in that matchup, how I'm feeling and how the numbers are feeling. And this one, I do think the Thunder played better than the Timberwolves did in that first game. So I would like to lean to the Thunder there. But I'm going to just go with my numbers. I'm going to stand by my research. I'm going to pick the Timberwolves at home. I'm going to take them on that spread, 4.5. That game is at 9:30 tomorrow on ESPN. That's all I have today. Recapping, previewing NBA mostly. And remember, I do have that episode coming out before Saturday when the playoffs start, which I will strictly focus on NBA playoffs, and I will go in more depth about my spreadsheet that I've been citing. And exciting time to be a sports fan. NBA playoffs about to kick off. NHL playoffs about to kick off. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope to have you back next time.